Now let us look at some of the routing issues with intermodal transportation services. There are many factors that must be considered when addressing intermodal transportation routing. These issues have an effect on the transportation carriers as well as the transportation customers. So one must look into these issues so that the intermodal routing would be efficient and effective. The first intermodal routing issue would be the transportation cost. The biggest factor to be considered is the transportation cost. This cost can be based on many factors. It can be the fixed cost, it can be the cost per unit weight, a cost per mile, a cost per volume, or a cost per ton mile. So all of these or any of these type of transportation costs which are a part of your transportation, you need to look into it, and we need to remember it that the primary objective of any transportation service, whether it is intermodal or whether it is intramodal, and specifically for intermodal services, we need to actually minimize the total transportation cost. Then there is an issue of link dependent transfer cost. When different modes are considered in a transportation transfer, a transfer cost is also incurred. A transfer cost is the cost of transferring the cargo from one mode of transportation to another. So there is always a link dependent transfer cost. So what issues we are looking at, these issues are significant. So when we say the transportation cost, we know that overall transportation cost it is the biggest challenge that we need to minimize it. But at the same time, there is also an extra cost which is actually linked with the link dependent transfer, and it will essentially incur when you are looking at the intermodal services. Intermodal transportation में link dependent transfer cost is significant, because when you switch from one mode of transportation to another mode of transportation, you are actually looking at this cost. Transfer costs can be either fixed or variable. As in transportation costs, these costs can be on a fixed per unit basis, per weight unit, or per volume unit basis. These costs may also be dependent on the city or stop at which they occur, as well as on the incoming and outgoing modes. So what is your destination, or what is your intermediate point? The link dependent transfer cost could increase or decrease based on that city or that interlink as well. Then we have service level and commodity type issue. This is another factor involved in intermodal transportation decisions, that is of a service level. If service level is of great importance to the customer, transportation by air may be more desirable than the truck. So when we are talking about the service level, we are actually talking about the response time to the customer. So if a greater importance is being given to the customer, it might be possible that because of a lapsing lead time, and shipment by air or one of the expensive mode of transportations might be used, that is the airplane. But it actually depends upon the response time to the customer. And after looking at the service level, we also have to consider the type of commodity being shipped. There can be a commodity mode compatibility issue. It might be such that our product is of, let's say, fragile in nature, and it cannot be transported through trucks, let's say, or it cannot be transported through sea, or we are dealing in some commodity that is hazardous in nature. So it might be possible that by sea, by some sea vessel, your commodity might not be transported in a better way. Or it might be possible that there are chances of a damage of your product or commodity during a rail transit. So commodity and mode compatibility is an important issue which must be investigated when choosing the transportation methods. Thank you.